welcome everyone into this presentation of Varsity Hockey on KSM Productions. Today, it is the Baldwinsville Bees, ranked number 11 in New York State by New York State Sports Writers Association, taking on the Rome Free Academy Black Knights, ranked number 5 by New York State Sports Writers Association in Division 1. I'm Killian Heffron here, joined alongside by Brian Heffron. And Brian, last game for Baldwinsville at home, they suffered their first home loss of the year, an upset loss against the sister North Syracuse North Stars. How do the Bees bounce back?
Well, I don't think that they have any problem getting juiced up for this event, Killian. I talked to Coach Lloyd about this pregame. He said, look, you're playing the number 1 team here in Section 3, one of the best teams in the state. I think Baldwinsville, when the schedule came out, they knew the challenge up ahead of them. They knew what they were getting ready for, and I would expect the Bees to come out in full energy tonight. This is going to be a great game.
Well, Brian, you also spoke to him about this RFA squad. What was the message about them?
Well, I think it all comes down to one person, and that's goaltending, right? The goaltender here started to sort of impact Section 3 when he was in 8th grade, Killian. And since then, he's been frustrating every single team, maybe the exception being West Jenny the last 2 years, right, who got the win in the sectional final. But this goaltender is solid, comes back his senior year, and I feel like he is on a mission to try to get that state title, something that RFA has been looking for a long time. So I would expect big play from that goaltender tonight for the Black Knights.
Well, Brian, you mentioned that they've been looking for that state title victory for a long time, but they've also been looking for a Section 3 victory for a long time. In their history, they have 10 Section 3 championships. They made to 20 Section 3 finals, but since 2000, they're 0-7 in Section 3 championship games, including the last 2 seasons, where they suffered a heartbreaking, controversial 2-1 overtime loss against West Genesee, and then last year, also against West Genesee, fell 2-0.
Yeah, that loss sort of put up some really bad taste 2 years in a row in this Black Knight team and the fan base. Once again, this year you just sort of feel it's a different thing. They are not only beating opponents, but they're beating them by big-time goals, and I would expect that high energy to carry itself all the way through the sectional finals.
Well, with that here, the two teams will do their starting lineups. We'll be back here in a moment on KSM Productions. Do not go anywhere. with that national anthem, we are ready to get going. Baldwinsville in their home whites, RFA in their third jersey, their orange.
It's a big week for the Bees coming up, right? This is the second of a 3-game sort of happenings that are going on this week for Baldwinsville. A tough loss against CNS, as we mentioned on Monday. Turnaround play one of the top teams here in the state on a Thursday, and then they got to turn around on Saturday and play Fairport, which is a division, I think we said, what, Division 2 is that might be? Division squad coming up. So this has been a big week. We talked about the importance of trying to get 2 wins this week, trying to make it out with 2 wins. Well, they're already down on the one that they thought they were going to be able to sort of tuck away. So this is an important game tonight. I think you don't want to go into that weekend already down 2, especially if this turns into something which we saw on Monday, which is a heavily overrated opponent going against Baldwinsville. So important game, Killian, to be able to hang with these Knights. And who knows, right? This is why we play the game. These teams play each other a lot. They know each other a lot. Who knows what we got here?
At the start of the year, when we spoke to head coach Mark Lloyd, he said he envisioned this team being a contender for the state championship. Now, this is the game where they will prove that to be the case. RFA looking to make a case. Their one loss this year coming against Ithaca, an out-of-section opponent. We are underway here at Three Rivers Athletic Complex. It's sent down around. Here's Landon Sully, fires this one up, and it'll be an icing against RFA early on. Bees pick up an offensive zone faceoff.
So one of the things I think we want to look for, Coach Lloyd mentioned about the impact that they were having on being able to shoot the puck and not being able to get it to the net. They got to get traffic in front of the net. They got to stop getting these block shots that prevents the puck from getting through and creating scoring chances for the Bees.
Face-off won by RFA. They played around their own net. That was sent around by Landon Sully. And now comes up the wall. Bees send it back down in. Just about 30 seconds gone by, and RFA has already iced the puck twice.
RFA plays a physical game, very similar, I think, in many ways to what we saw with CNS, where they come out, they're not afraid to hit. I think that's one of the things that we have to watch for, see how these Bees retaliate. There's been games where the Bees have retaliated, put themselves in a position where they're now down a man, and then give up an early goal.
Face-off won by the Black Knights, and they'll try to clear this one out from their own end. Comes up to the point, Weaver holds that one in, and RFA will have to look for another way out, which they find as this one's banked out of the zone. Now it's brought forward, opportunity for the Black Knights, 2-on-1. Moving on for the side, centering pass off target. And then careening into Bice was number 3, Jude Sestito.
Yeah, just a little bit of a too far cheating up there by the defender. All of a sudden he looked behind him, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1. So lucky opportunity for the Bees there. They're not going to be able to do that all night.
Icing call against Baldwinsville. Plenty of early stoppages here. Both teams looking for stretch passes, and none of them working out. Baldwinsville at home this year has been perfect with the exception of that last game against the North Stars. They did have 2 ties, one coming to Ballston Spa and the other coming to FM. That's held in at the point. Now here's Bruno from the side. Bruno's shot goes over the net. Jacob Bruno on the year, 42 points, leads Section 3.
Unbelievable player, just explodes with speed, and what a precision shot that young man has.
One of the big reasons RFA's been such a strong squad this year is here's Bruno carrying into the offensive zone. Bruno, a shot save made there by Bice, and we have our first shot on goal of this young game.
Yeah, Bruno just with a quick release, right? You sort of expect him to make a move and go around the right. He just does a quick release shot, and it's a powerful shot. I tell you what, our goalie's going to have to be sort of keeping his eye open at all times when he's on the ice.
That's held in at the point there. RFA took possession off of that after it skipped over Keegan Crowley's stick down low. Took a weird bounce on the ice. Here's Hinman moving it forward, sends it all the way down, and inaccurate icing against the Bees. Faceoff will come back into the Baldwinsville zone. Already one decent opportunity so far for the Black Knights. Zach Bice able to get in there and take that one away.
You know, I was thinking about this after the CNS game. You know, one of the things that I guess was a bright spot from that game, and you might say, well, you know, an upset 5-2 loss isn't really much to there, but they had 40-something shots on net. The Bees were shooting it. Just strong goaltending that we had by that CNS goaltender, and let's see what we're going to have tonight here.
It's blown dead offside against RFA. But, Brian, one of the interesting things, and I know state rankings don't mean pretty much anything until we hit actual states, and we get good matchups between those out-of-section teams. But Baldwinsville, following that loss to CNS, did not changed their spot in rankings. As no icing there. Officials want an explanation for it, but perhaps some of the people in the State Sports Writer Association considering CNS to be a stronger opponent as that shot on that is held by Spirace.
Yeah, blocked there by the RFA. We're just talking about the importance of trying to avoid getting that puck block. But, yeah, I agree. I was surprised with you that there was no movement in the state rankings. You lose to an opponent that is not having that strong, a decent year, and there was no movement on there. Maybe it's just a testament to how strong they feel that the Division I Section 3 league is this year.
Up to the point now. This is held in. Shot there. The flex on that goes wide. That was Bennett Mattoon there with the shot that took the deflection. Played around behind the net, trying to get in on that one was, I believe that was Jack Gokul, or excuse me, no, it was Max Spino. Battled around by the Bees down low. Trying to get onto this was Thomas Rolfe. Sent around, Spino coming into this. He'll lay a hit there into the RFA player as the Black Knights skate out of the zone. It's picked up now by Rolfe, looking up for Spino. Spino fans on the shot, avoids a check. Spino now walking around behind the net, and he will have to look to Weaver at the half boards who fanned on the shot.
Yeah, a couple of missed shots by the Bees early. Not sure what that's about, if it's a little bit of nerves or whatnot, but they had two shots on net that they both fanned on.
Weaver a long drive in, save made there by Spirace. Dante Spirace, the junior for RFA, been starting since he was in 8th grade. And now here comes RFA into the offensive zone. It's Brock LaPlante, puts that one wide.
Great job by the defender there to be able to put that puck behind him. He knew that an RFA, his teammate, was coming down the side, so just great awareness by the Black Knight.
Brought forward now by the Bees. McGrain on this one. It's kicked back where they'll get dumped in by Hinman, and he fires that one over the net. Baldwinsville only one in on the forecheck as they were making a line change. Coming back out the other direction, here come the Black Knights. Picked up by McFeeters, who sends this one down into the RFA zone. Battled for around down in the corner, still looking for it, and it's picked up by Bruno, who makes the pass up, and RFA looking to lead a rush into the offensive zone. Braden Meeks steps onto this one. Meeks shoots one, save made there. It bounces back out, they score! And RFA takes the lead. It's Mark Verano, his 15th goal on the season. And RFA jumps out to an early 1-0 lead.
Well, Verano was hunting around that net for a while. He was sort of waiting for their opportunity. They just gave him too much space. Verano's going to score, one of the top scorers for the Black Knights there. No way you're going to let that man have an opportunity to take the shot without getting it in.
Good quick turnaround shot. Looks like the goaltender, Bice, didn't really expect it to come from that direction. And Verano, even from when I played with him, had that ability to score from anywhere in front of the net, and he'll be able to put that one by.
Well, that was the top line right there. I mean, that's the big scorers, right? You got Verano, you got a couple others there. That's who you're looking for to score for the Black Knights to get in early.
Here's Breen with a drive. That one went on at save made, and it comes out the other direction. Here come the Black Knights moving forward into the offensive zone. Trying to get by there was Aiden Van Wy. Van Wy behind the net. Up to the point now. This is dumped back down in. Van Wy tried to get on that one. Taken down on the play was Crowley, who then gets checked. It's sent around by the Bees looking to get up the ice. And now it's held in by RFA. Shot there from the point from Miles Mendiola. Did not go. Shots on goal even, 4-4, but RFA with the early 1-0 lead. This gets sent down into the RFA zone, but an icing is called against the Bees.
So early in the game, down 1-0. This is an important time, I think, in the game, though, right? This is something the Bees really have to work on. If they're going to be able to compete, they got to make sure that they don't let this sort of get out of hand and have a quick goal early on in the first period to make it a 2-0 game.
Face-off won by McFeeters, picked up behind the net by Weaver, who fires it up and out of the zone. Sending it back in was Landon Sully. And McFeeters picks it up for Baldwinsville and brings it into the offensive zone. McFeeters cuts to the side. Now into the corner, takes a check there. Good hit from Stephen Mudry.
Yeah, Mudry, what a great defensive play there. Used his body to really slow down that play, take it away. Great turnover by Black Knights there to control the puck.
This one's dumped down in, and back for this one is Rocco Weaver. Shot still 4-4. Weaver looks up the ice, deflects off the skate of Bruno, and it comes down to the offensive zone for the Bees. On this one now is Miles Mendiola. And up to Bruno. Here's Jacob Bruno from the side. Bruno still looking for an option. He will work his way around behind the net. Dishes it up to Mendiola at the point. A drive there, and Mendiola reverses the oncoming B. That was Daniel Hinman who came up to try to lay the hit. No icing against Baldwinsville, and it'll come out the other direction. Mendiola up the ice. That was nearly intercepted by the Bees, but here comes RFA into the offensive zone. From the side, here's Bruno. And Meeks tried to get on to that one. Meeks there kind of catches an edge, and now dumped down in by Baldwinsville. Down low, it's Hinman. Hinman turns, looks up to the middle. That one got intercepted. And now RFA looking to start the drive. Verano moves forward. He's able to avoid the hit, and it's blown dead for an offside.
Well, I mean, so far what I've noticed here from the Bees is that, you know, for the most part, they've been able to sort of take away. We've had some powerful drives by the Black Knights down the net, but the Bees have been able to sort of disrupt that, especially behind the net. They're sort of using their bodies to sort of position themselves to stop that play moving forward. But outside of the one goal by Verano, right, he was able to sort of have too much time bound there. The Bees, I thought, have been able to control it so far. So we'll see what happens here as we move forward.
Trying to look up the ice there was number 22, Mason Stutton, but he couldn't get anywhere with that one. Fired up the wall by Mattoon up to the point where it's picked up by Landon Sully, who drives that one in and got blocked by Mattoon. Battle for it behind the net. Good check there by McFeeters on number 10, Aiden Van Wy. And they battle for this one. It pops out of the point. The Bees nearly able to spring a breakaway, but McCollum was unable to control it. Sent along over, looking up for McCollum. Couldn't get that one under control. Goes down the ice where it'll be played by Landon Sully. Sully looks up, and the Bees pick this one up. Sending it down in the offensive zone is McGrain. And now here is Dom Dorito in the forecheck for Baldwinsville. McGrain picks it up. Tried to leave it for Dorito. Didn't have anything there. McGrain from behind that centering pass. Couldn't get that to go. And this gets sent up and played by Hinman.
Yeah, just a little miscommunication on that play. He sent it center while the offensive play for the Bees went around.
Weaver's shot there goes wide. And a good physical job in front of the net there by RFA to prevent anyone from really getting too close to screening the Sparace as he swallows that one up and holds.
Yeah, it was probably the best offensive chance that we've seen Baldwin's have on that shift there, sort of controlling the puck on the RFA zone. Well, we ended up walking away with maybe 2-3 shots on there, but that's sort of the things that they're going to have. They're going to have each shift be able to get some offensive power headed down here towards this goal. This goalie is just too good to have no chances go against him.
McFeeters there lost the draw for Baldwinsville. Goes all the way down the ice where it'll become an icing, but Verano was hot on its heels. Almost catching up with it. And he exchanges a few words with Rocco Weaver as they head back down the ice.
So I'm curious, we saw that RFA beat. What was the score against Syracuse? Was it?
It was 6-2 that game ended.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, right? I mean, they were playing in Rome, so that's got the advantage. But I think Syracuse, up to that point, there was some really momentum building that Syracuse team was going to be competitive against this RFA. So a little surprise after that loss.
Now, this is going to be brought forward. Here's Bruno, lost the puck, got it back, fires a shot, save made there by Bice.
Once again, just quick release play. He is just a quick release shooter. What a deadly shot that he has.
This whole line of Meeks, Verano, and Bruno.
Yeah, this is the top line right here, right? This is something to behold when you see all three of them out there working together.
And now here comes Baldwinsville. Tolan dumps that one down in. McCollum in pursuit of that. Mendiola was back there, but it ultimately was sent out by Sparace. Turnaround dump in there by Dom Dorito. 8:03 and counting left here in the first period of action. 1-0 RFA off the goal from Mark Verano. Moving up the ice, it's picked up now by Bruno, who tries to turn on the Jets, ultimately fires this one forward. Breen takes control in the zone end, looks D to Crowley, who then fires it up the wall. Getting on this here is Dorito, but he can't get this one out of the zone. McGrain picks it up, walks around. Here comes Alessio McGrain moving up now, and McGrain brings it forward into the offensive zone. Has him in at the front of the net, tries to make a move. It's taken away and fired out by Jude Sestito. And this comes back up to the point now. Crowley makes a move, and he will bring this one forward. Crowley wheeling into the offensive zone. He gets over to the side, but didn't have any options. He has to force this one around the side of the net. Here's Dylan Breen. Breen put that one wide.
Yeah, the defense just shut down, clearing out traffic. They're making sure that no Bees get in front of that net.
Good move there by Crowley. It comes back to him. Crowley, a drive on net. Save made there. Second try. That one also did not go. And it's sent down the ice by RFA for an icing.
But, I mean, right there, that play is an example of what sort of Coach Lloyd was talking about, right? In the past, he was saying we were trying to shoot it from the outside, just too many blocks. The puck wasn't getting to the net. And so all that traffic that you try to get in front of the net, well, the puck never gets there, and so they can't do anything. And so that's what they were hoping, is for more accurate shooting that could avoid the blocks. But this RFA team, I don't think they're going to be shying away, putting their bodies in front of those shots at all.
Face-off won by the Bee. Shot deflects wide. Down on this one is McCollum, who fires it around. Joe Tolan was in pursuit before Mendiola got in his way. Mendiola comes up, lands a check on Toland. Picked up by Bruno, who has room up the ice. Up to Verano, the goal scorer in this game. Verano to Bruno. Bruno backhands it wide. I don't know if he was looking for a back door and assumed Meeks was going with him, but
it almost looked like it was almost like a 1-2-3 play, right? But Meeks was just a step behind, wasn't able to get it.
There's Mendiola, shot there, save made. And it comes back out of the zone, and now having to retake a possession comes RFA. Bruno dumps it down in. He'll go for a change. Meeks in pursuit for RFA. Comes out of the zone where it's picked up by Verano, who will just try to carry this one right back up. Nearly catches him on a line change. Forced to just fire this one in on that. Here is Weaver in his own end. Rocco Weaver moves up the ice. Into the offensive zone. A drive goes wide. Hinman is there. Has McGreen in front of the net, but Hinman couldn't get full control of that one. Good physical play by RFA down low. Held at the point by Crowley. Crowley loses it and then gets it back, dumps it back down in.
Top of the zone defense right there, just not letting him get his body.
Shot there, a net, save made, and it bounced back out to nobody in particular for Baldwinsville, and into the linesman's skate. So RFA, that one bounces off of Stephen Mudry out of play.
So, Kalen, we were talking about this the other day, about the value of having home ice advantage, but then you were talking about the other thing of being able to get at least if you don't get home ice advantage, of being able to, in the playoffs, have it where you get the first man on the ice during sub-ins, right?
All right, you get last man on the ice.
Last man on the ice, sorry, last man on the ice in a sub-in, yep.
Yeah, and that's really the benefit of being the 1 seed, because if you make it all the way to that sectional championship game, you get home ice advantage, even though it's at a neutral site. You get to change your players last, which becomes a big thing when you're playing against a team as electric as RFA is.
Yeah, well, and RFA just plays so well at their home rink, and I think any team who's going to end up having to get a draw of playing RFA, or knowing that they're going to have to go through RFA in Rome on their way to the finals, right? That's got to be a deflating sort of thing. So I think there's going to be a big push for that number 2 seed as we see these remaining games come through at the end of January into February.
This gets chipped up the wall and it comes out of the zone, but here comes RFA. Here's Verano in the corner. Verano brings it to the middle. Save made by Bice, and it leaked out wide.
Yeah, a lot of traffic there, but he was able to get the puck on a shot.
Bruno, under heavy pressure, sends it back down in for Meeks. Meeks turns, gets hit, and it comes out the other way. Trying to bring that up was Toland. He got checked. Shot comes in, goes wide. Meeks in pursuit of it for RFA. And a battle with Weaver. To continue the battle, Frick pops out to Meeks, who shot it into the foot there of number 2, Don Pertel. This is fired out of the zone. And RFA will play it back up. Here's Landon Bartlett. Gives it on over to Miles Mendiola. Mendiola walks on in, uncontested, he scores! Miles Mendiola, and RFA goes up by 2.
Well, not much you're going to be able to do there, right? I mean, that defender sort of came in. He sort of bent down a little bit. I think he was talking he might try to get it underneath his legs. And as he sort of crouched down, offensive player here, just a beautiful shot. What a shot, top right corner. Awesome goal by the Black Knights.
Well, if you're Baldwinsville there, that's one of those situations you got to step up on that defender and just walked in uncontested. That's a great shot by Mendiola. Assist is going to go to Bartlett, and this will make it 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got too much talent, Kelly. They got too much talent to let them have those open shots, like without any, any sort of pressure on the shooter.
So now it's Baldwinsville facing a 2-goal deficit here. Second consecutive game they faced that at home. And this one was been offside, so Jimenez cut back, dumps it down in pursuit of McGrain. McGrain down low, trying to battle for it. It's picked up by the Black Knights, and they move on forward. Here's Jude Sestito. Sestito with space, makes a move, and ends up dishing it on over. Sent back down in. There were a couple players that got tangled up behind the play. McGrain and Stephen Mudry were the ones involved. Sent forward. Here comes RFA into the offensive zone. From the side, cutting on through is Landon Soley. Shot goes wide. Shots on goal 9-8 in favor of RFA. They lead this game 2-0. It comes forward. Trying to get a chip at that one was Tolan. Tolan in a battle with Mendiola, and Mendiola will win that fight. It comes on up the ice. Here come the Black Knights, sent down in by Sully. And that one will be out of reach, but no icing on the play. So Beeville will look to get this one up and out. It's held at the point by Sully. Sends it down low. In his own end is McFeeters, and McFeeters will make a run out of his own zone. This is Crowley, excuse me, not McFeeters. Crowley cuts, turns, and he couldn't get anything going there. Crowley picks up in the corner, looking around, up to the point now where this is shot in. Save made there by Sparace. Ninth shot on goal of the game for Baldwinsville. Nothing to show for it on the scoreboard quite yet. Moving on in, and a good hit there by number 18, Carson Pettinelli, who read the incoming check from Max Spino. Now battled for down low. Checked into the wall there was Spino off the hit from Landon Bartlett. And this comes on up the ice. And good job by the Black Knights in the offensive zone, but offside.
We were talking about one of the things we were
and
talking.
now there's going to be another whistle. I don't know what that second whistle was for. Somebody blew it again.
Well, I was just going to say what we were talking about was that one of the things was to look at how physical RFA was going to come out. Really, for the first, I would say probably 8-9 minutes, there was a few hits, nothing really big. I would say that's picked up a little bit towards the end. And I don't know if that's a little bit of frustration on the Bees side of it and RFA just responding, but it's definitely gotten a little physical here within the last few minutes of the first period.
Bruno dumps it down in. Now in pursuit is the Black Knights. Out along now and dumped down low by Verano. Right to Bruno. Bruno with room for Verano. Verano fires. Save made by Bice. The rebound is taken by Baldwinsville, but they turn it over. Yep. And Jacob Bruno cashes in to make it 3-0 RFA.
Yeah, it's a tough turnover. When you have a turnover like that in front of your net, and with the scores that they have on the ice, the talent that they have on the ice, they're going to make you pay for it, right? And that's a situation where a point-blank shot, there's just no way you're going to be able to have time to be able to stop a goal like that. The Bees consoling their goaltender and saying, hey, look that was on us. That's on us, man. We let that one up for you, you know. It's a tough one, especially when you're looking up at the scoreboard and you're down 3-0 here with 1:31 left in the first period.
And now, this first intermission going to be key here for the Bees to try to get back in this one. RFA sitting at a very favorable advantage early on. Into the offensive zone now come the Black Knights, sent to the middle by Mendiola, looking for Aiden Van Wy. Couldn't get that to go, and it comes out the other direction for the Bees. Moving up the ice was McGrain, and it's turned over right back to Mendiola, who dumps it down in and got turned around. Sent back up. And the Bees look to get this one out of their zone, and they do, barely offside.
One of the things I'm watching here is just the body language from the Bees right now. You know, I think coming in they were going to give their best shot against this RFA team, but just right now too much power. Too much power from on both defense and on the offensive side of the rink.
A statement made by RFA in this first period so far, indeed.
Absolutely.
And now into the offensive zone comes Weaver. Weaver shot there, fought off by Sparace. That one had some heat on it. And that comes up to the point where RFA nearly steals that one out. Sent down the ice. Played now by Crowley, who's going to look up the ice. And the Ice Monster claims the victim at the worst possible time for the Bees. Rocco Weaver taken down there by the Ice Monster. Battled around by RFA, sent forward. That was a good pass by Bruno to find Meeks. Meeks in hard pursuit, and turning away from that was Crowley, who ended up going into the wall, comes up out of the zone. 15 seconds left to go in the first period. Dumped down in deep on this now is Crowley. 8 seconds left. Baldwinsville looks to just maybe clear out the clock. And it comes up to the point. They will battle for it along the wall. That is how the first period will come to an end. RFA a statement. They lead 3-0.
Yeah, it definitely is a statement, right? One of the things that we were going to have to watch to see is how quickly they were able to flex their muscle and use their offensive power. Right now, RFA taking advantage of that. I think the Bees are going to have a long locker room discussion about digging deep, right? You can see already the players coming over to the goaltender, sort of giving props to him because they knew that that was a tough period for him. So we'll see how that responds here in the second period.
Yeah, you could also see the coaches on the bench for Baldwinsville before they came off all immediately got together.
Yeah.
So this is an important intermission. And if you're RFA, I would say your job here is just to not let the Bees back in it and also keep pushing, get a couple more, really knock this one out.
Yeah, I don't think they're done yet, right? And one thing we know about this RFA team is that they can score a lot of goals. So I would expect that pressure to continue here for the remainder of the game.
So we will head to our first intermission. RFA, a 3-0 advantage. We welcome you back here on KSM Productions here for the last couple minutes of this first intermission. I'm Killian Heffron, joined alongside by Brian Heffron. RFA leading 3-0 at the end of one. And Brian, that game, or excuse me, this game so far for RFA has been dominated by their offensive abilities in the offensive zone. Not seeing as much of a separation in shots on goal right now, as momentum's been kind of back and forth, but they've showcased their scoring ability.
Yeah, they definitely have. I think one of the things that we were nervous over is to see in the last few games, Baldwinsville has struggled to really tighten their defense up in terms of their coverage, and you just can't do that with a team like this, right? And so we're sort of seeing some of the similar problems popping up here again in that first half, and RFA is going to make you pay for it. What was interesting, Killian, I think also, is that none of those goals we had, I don't think we had any penalties, no advantage at any point on either side, and still Rome was able to find it in the back of the net 3 times. If this game gets sloppy, if Baldwinsville gets frustrated and they start putting hits on that call penalties, you better watch out, because they have some offensive juice going that could make this game get really out of control quickly. So interesting period to watch how the Bees step out. We saw as they were leaving lots of sort of consoling of the goalie. We saw, as you pointed out, the coaches were meeting behind the bench trying to say, hey, what's our message to the boys as we come into the locker room? What's going to be the way they respond back? How's that going to look? I think that's the biggest thing we got to look for here.
Well, here's a look at the RFA roster, and biggest impact players here so far have been Miles Mendiola, number 25, the defender. Had that great goal where he just kind of walked in and a nice flick of the wrist, went top shelf, made the game 2-0.
Almost uncontested, right?
And then that top line of Braden Meeks, Mark Verano, and Jacob Bruno have been successful. They have 2 goals on the day.
Yeah, I mean, that line, you take that line, you could put it against any line across the state, right? They just got power from top to bottom on that. So just excellent work going on. Them to be able to utilize and help out each other. We saw that one play where almost every single forward touched that puck before it went in. So just great effort by this team.
So in goal for RFA, obviously you have Dante Sprays, one of the best goalies in the section, and his stats so far this year have been great for RFA. A look at his stats, he has 602 minutes played coming into tonight, 256 saves, a 1.10 GAA, and a .952 save percent, and Chase Brooks in net for Baldwinsville. We haven't seen him since the game against St. Lawrence Central, where he got injured.
He got ill too. He was out ill for several weeks, dealing with, I believe, a mono diagnosis. And so we had talked to him too, and he was itching to get back in. But interesting move by the coach here of the Bees, sort of taking a look at this situation and maybe conceding that this is an opportunity to get Anders back in and get some time playing to sort of beef up that defensive position behind the net.
We were wondering what the move would be from head coach Mark Lloyd to try to swing the momentum, and it looks like a goalie change will be the thing he goes with as McGrain plays him down the offensive zone. He just goes down. They try to battle for it. It's kind of stuck under him, and now it comes out away the other side. Here comes RFA. Moving on forward. Bruno over to Meeks. Meeks to Verano, and they kind of just didn't connect there like they wanted to. And here is Alessio McGrain. McGrain from the side with speed walks in, and he's going to draw a penalty. Power play coming now to Baldwinsville. It'll be to number 2, Stephen Mudry, and he will be taken off to the box for a hold.
Well, that's what happens when you get somebody to beat you, right? With that speed that he was showing right there, he was able to beat the man. By the time that he sort of positioned, the defender positioned himself around, the only thing he really could do to slow him down was to put his arm around his neck. And that's what we saw right there. So good movement by Alessio to be able to sort of get the advantage here. This is an opportunity, right? If we want to claw back in for the Baldwinsville Bees, this is going to have to work. It's going to have to be one where we get a lot of shots on net for this Baldwinsville team.
They've had a strong power play this year. It was silenced a little bit in the last game against CNS. North Star is one of the teams that takes the most penalties in Section 3. They weren't able to get really going against their penalty kill, but let's see what they can do against RFA's as the ice monster there nearly cost the Bees a goal.
Yeah, just sticking to that ice right after that cut. That puck is just sort of struggling a little bit here to get moving.
No shots on goal so far in the second period as it's brought forward by Rylan McCollum. McCollum to the middle, and he's hit there. That's a good check. I believe that was number 12, Landon Bartlett, the sophomore.
Yeah, RFA's not going to let sort of that middle open up like that. So would have liked to see an opportunity sort of you to set up a movement on a power play Let's see if they can get something going right here.
Into the offensive zone. This is sent to the middle for Tolan. Deflects off his skate. Crowley put that one wide of the net, and Mendiola couldn't get all he wanted onto that one. It's battled for there in the wall. Hinman up to the point. Has Weaver. Weaver to Crowley. Crowley puts a shot, deflects wide. Hinman at the half board, shoots one, deflects, St. Magnus lose out in front, and they couldn't get to that one. Oh man, Baldwinsville gets unlucky.
Yeah, opening sort of right there to cash it in.
Oh man, there's another instance of the Ice Monster showing up there against Baldwinsville.
Yeah,
and a good hit there. That's number 29, Brock LaPlante, planting that hit. No pun intended. This comes up the wall and it goes out of the zone. LaPlante in pursuit. It's no icing because it's a power play. But out to play it is Brooks. And that one nearly went into LaPlante's stick.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there between the defender and the goalie on what was supposed to happen.
Bees just looking a little shaky here to start the second period. Sent to the middle. Hinman on the boards. Picked up by McGrain. McGrain has room. Penalty is now over. McGrain looking, sends it down low, intended for him, and it took a bounce off of him. And McGrain picks it back up. He looks, surveys his options, was thinking about going to the point, ends up not going there, sends it around the wall instead. At the point now, here is Crowley. Crowley walks around down low, centering pass. And I don't know if that one made its way on that or not, but here comes RFA. Meeks, a shot save made by Brooks. And he covers.
Not a bad kill by the RFA there. You know, we had a couple of shots that Bees were able to get in. We had that one beautiful opportunity. That sort of net opened up wide open before the goaltender was able to sort of stretch himself out and stop it. But a missed opportunity, I think, for the Bees there. Would have liked to see a little bit more shots, a little bit more movement.
Oh, what a hit there.
Hit.
That's number 25, Miles.
Yep.
Mendiola been one of the biggest impact players on the game so far. In fact, Brian, I wouldn't say it's a stretch to say he's been the player of the game so far for RFA.
Yeah, easily. Between not only just being able to see the goals, obviously, but the hits, as you pointed out, and the puck movement.
There he goes the other way, brings down McCollum. Looks like he might have gotten a grab in there on McCollum, but officials deem it legal. Comes out in the other direction. RFA playing very physical here in the second period, looking to just shut down Baldwinsville, and the Bees struggling to get really anything going. Yeah. Looking up the ice for Tolan, that one's inaccurate icing.
Yeah, it's almost like sort of the message from the RFA during intermission was, hey, we got the 3-goal lead. Now we can sort of play some physical defense here, sort of really disrupt Baldwinsville, really frustrate them, not to be able to get anything going. I think that's what we're seeing, because this is far more physical in the second period than what we saw in the first period of play.
Now on the draw for RFA is Julius Perugino, matched up against number 7 for Baldwinsville, Thomas Rolfe. Excuse me, that was Brock LaPlante on the draw, not Perugino. Perugino's on Baldwinsville. I was looking at the wrong roster. Here they come up the ice. Into the offensive zone now is Weaver from the side. Weaver looks, brought it to the net, and Sparace there didn't even need to move.
Yeah, he just sat right there. It was not going to let any daylight in that net.
Locks up against his post. Not the biggest goaltender out there, but his positioning made that one easy.
Yeah.
This comes on forward, and here comes RFA trying to get to this one. It's intercepted now by the Bees. Chipped forward, and now Baldwinsville takes it in their own end. Looking up the ice, here comes Spino, who drives one on net. That one's patted aside by Sparace. And offside against Baldwinsville, forces them to tag up. Here comes RFA the other way. Aiden Van Wy lost the puck. And good collision there at the point. Fired in on Brooks, who makes the easy pad save. Bruno to the middle of the shot there. Did not go. Shot attempt from Landon Sully. Bruno, good job getting a stick on that one. That is fired very heavily down the ice, right on goal, so no icing. Still 3-0 is our score. Here's Hinman along the wall. Hinman tried to get that to the middle, and a power play coming to Beeville. And it'll be on number 14, Jacob Bruno, who's saying, I didn't have a hold on him. He grabbed my stick, but officials will disagree with him, and he'll head to the box.
Well, maybe if Himman didn't fall down, but Himman sort of got yanked down on that situation. I think the referee said, hey, there's no way that he just sort of fell without some sort of a grab there. So another opportunity for the Bees. So already here, the second power play for this Baldwinsville team here with 11:40 remaining in the second.
RFA coaching staff there, you could see he just telling them to simmer down, not take a penalty after the initial penalty. And so this RFA penalty kill, which was so successful the first time around here early in the second period, goes back to work. Nothing really has happened here, Brian, aside from these couple penalties so far in the second period.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of from what we saw in the first sort of period, I think a little bit of a change of pace. I think it's important here, though, the Bees just struggling to be able to set up anything on that power play. We talked about the importance of the value of that power play for this Bees team. They're just, RFA is not able, or is not letting them sort of set up anything.
Comes down into the zone, and battle for this one is McFeeters, has Toland with him. McFeeters with the puck, looks around, will walk around behind the back of the net, goes up to the half boards, up to the point, it's Breen. Breen over to Pertel. Pertel slaps this one in, it got blocked there. That's a good block by Landon Bartlett. Cleared out of the zone, and off comes Meeks and Verano for RFA and Mendiola. And on comes the next penalty kill unit for the Black Knights, and this one goes back down. Final remnant of that first PK unit comes off the ice for RFA, and they got entirely fresh legs out there now. Coming on forward now, here is Weaver, centering pass, they made, rebound is held by Sparace, and now that'll draw us a crowd. And we'll see if the officials asked to take anyone here. Sparace holding the puck in an effort to give it to the referee, but the referee a bit preoccupied.
Yeah, good movement on there. Still sort of holding on to each other. I think he's trying to get the stick. There's just things that are sort of stuck in there. There you go. But great scoring chance by the Bees there, right? Probably one of the strongest ones that we've seen in a while. Shut down by the goaltender, but there was a lot of quick movement there by RFA to be able to come in and clear out any traffic that might have been sort of lingering out after.
So no penalties will result from that, so we remain 5-on-4 for the next 32 seconds. Face-off comes up to the point, looking on over. That one is driven, and that one is gloved and held by Sparace.
Yeah, Sparace sort of fouled that puck. That's the hardest shot in the world there that he saw, but it was one that was on target, and he just fouled that thing all the way to his glove.
Face-off one,
yeah,
right on
movement.
net there, McGrain.
Yeah, good movement by McGrain.
McGrain just couldn't get to it. Now he sends a drive wide in that. Weaver at the point. Bevo looking strong here in this power play. Spino back to Weaver. Looks down low. And was looking for Dorito. He just couldn't get possession of the puck. This one comes up out of the zone where Weaver will have to just spin around, send it back in. Baldwinsville tags up. That will do it for the second power play of the game for Baldwinsville. RFA 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. And now here comes Verano moving on in. Verano was uncontested for a little bit there.
Good defense by the Bees there. Verano was ready to launch it. We know how powerful and quick his shot is.
Great back check there from Jacob Bruno to get onto that puck. But yeah, Verano, he was uncontested for a little bit, started to get into a shooting motion, and then Crowley got to him. Good effort to get back. And here's Crowley behind his own net. Shots on goal 15-14 in favor of the Bees. However, they still trail by 3.
Yeah, 2 former teammates right there, right? Crowley and Verano.
I was also a member of that team way back in the day. 12U Syracuse Blazers.
Yeah, shout out to the 2009 Blazers.
This comes up to the point and played now. Shot comes in from Mendiola, got deflected and didn't make it to the front of the net. Here comes McFeeters. However, he was played there, and stepping up there and landing a hit was number 12, Landon Bartlett.
Yep.
Mendiola walks on in, puts that one on net, save made by Brooks. Shots 15-15. Barely held in there at the point. That's a great job keeping that one in by Bartlett.
Yeah, great awareness. So that he looked up for a second just to see where his foot was on that marker, and able to control it in.
New line on for the Black Knights. They'll start that one with a check on Crowley. And Baldwinsville with a full south change, but I don't think RFA realized it until it was too late. And there, getting the height advantage was number 10, Aiden Van Wy, on the attempted hit. I couldn't see what Baldwinsville player went in for that, but regardless, it comes out of the zone for an icing.
Yeah, Well, I mean, we were wondering if it was going to get physical in the second period, right? We talked about that as being one of the big things to watch for, and I think we're seeing the proof of that right now, right? I would say RFA is leading that charge, right? Which makes sense. We knew all year long, we're talking to Coach Lloyd about this, Baldwinsville has some strong physical players, but it's not in comparison to RFA, right? There's probably an advantage on the Black Knights. So if this is going to be a physical game moving forward, and I think that's what RFA wants, I think that's going to be something that's going to be frustrating the Bees.
Here's Baldwinsville back in their own end. Pertel sends it up. Spino was looking there for Thomas Rolfe, but couldn't connect. Baldwinsville right now. Oh, look at that. Look at the slide to get onside there by Mark Verano.
Yeah, and good move by the referee to be able to get out of that play, hop himself right up on that board. Kudos to his moves.
Sully sends that one down low. On this is Verano up to the point. Finds Sully. Sully a drive. Save made by Brooks. Sent along over. Bruno fires that one. Oh, and nearly getting that one was Verano. And he turned around and put it wide.
Yeah, twice.
And
twice
now
on that play.
They got tied up down low. But
not only that initial shot, but his ability to sort of move and turn and spin to get another opportunity. Just awesome awareness by Verano on that play.
Beeville definitely getting a little lucky there. Verano nearly had more or less an identical play from him, a turnaround goal.
Yeah, Beast just cannot get this out of the zone.
Sent back down in. This is this dangerous top line for RFA on the ice too.
It is.
Here's Bruno. Up to the point. Shot deflects wide. And now here comes Baldwinsville clearing it down the ice to Spino, and it goes wide in the net. But probably to Baldwinsville's happiness is they'll finally be able to get everyone off.
Yeah, that line needed a change quick. You can tell they were physically tired, having a hard time just keeping up with the speed of the Black Knights on that play. But, ooh, scoring chance. Couple of scoring chances there.
And now on the draw for RFA's Charlie Townsend. Townsend won the draw, comes up to the point. Shot comes in, save made there by Brooks. Dumped back down in, intercepted now by Beeville. Working on up the ice, this is intercepted and fired back down in. Getting in on this one is Carson Pentilly. And this goes down the ice where RFA will have to regroup. Fast period so far. Oh, big collision there. And one of them went flying. The other one kind of just tripped over him.
Almost a great somersault in the air. Beautiful, beautiful movement on that. Wow.
It didn't really look to me like they were meaning to hit each other. They just kind of ran into each other, looks like. It looks like the RFA coach wanting an explanation. He probably thought that was knee on knee.
Yeah. I think going back to that goalie change, Killian, I sort of really like the move here. I mean, I would say that Vice did not have a bad first period. Some of those shots just right point blank in front of them. You know what I mean? Any goalie here in Section 3 would have a hard time stopping, but, right, they want depth in their goaltending, a great opportunity to get some game experience in, to be able to sort of shake off any of those. That's a lot of time that he was out that he hasn't played. So I think I like this move here.
Battled around down low. Getting in on that was Toland. Toland sends out to the middle. There comes up to the point. Brina drive. Oh, glove save there by Sparace.
Yeah, Sparace just once again, his ability to track that puck, just wonderful. It's one of his strengths right there. You see the flexibility. We've seen that a few times with him spreading sort of both pads and falling, all over the place to stop that puck. But great tracking by the goaltender.
Now on the face-off comes Beeville. It is one back now by the Bees, chipped up the wall, and Verano tried to tip that one out of the zone, and the Bees end up bringing that out of the zone themselves. Spino kind of lost it as it popped up on him. Baldwinsville now trying to look up the ice to get this one into the zone. Here is Crowley, sends it back over to Weaver, fired up, deflected into the offensive end. In pursuit now of this one is number 24, Donovan Worth. Worth took a check, it comes around down low. Rolfe and number 6, Colin Bodega, that was 16, Landon Soley there, kind of got into a battle. Played forward down low, and good. Bruno.
Yeah, just physically being able to take that puck away.
And Bruno's got speed. He walks on in, had it poked away, but Meeks is there to help him out. And it gets chipped down low. Meeks wanted a slashing call, but not going to get one. It comes out the other direction. Here's Crowley with speed. Crowley Doesn't have a lane in the middle, so he'll have to reverse down low. Reverses again, looks for an option, gets checked. And on this one now are the Bees. Crowley pushed into the wall. Continuing the battle for this one. Now it finally pops out, and here it's sent on over. The shot from Hinman, made it, bounced up, and looking to knock that one down to his stick was Dom Dorito, but he just couldn't get to that puck. Now it gets fired back in, knocked out of the air by RFA. Crowley with the toe drag snaps the ankles of the defender, but RFA took him and oh my, RFA, they're getting a little lucky.
What a sequence.
That one will be held by Spurace.
Yeah.
What a move there by Crowley.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Crowley on that. That was pretty impressive. The defender he just sort of planted that foot and just could not be able to move his body in any way to be able to sort of counter what Crowley was doing there.
The top half wanted to move, but the bottom half did not.
Yeah.
As that one goes on that save made held by Spurace.
Yep. Good offensive pressure here by the Bees, I would say, in the last 3-4 minutes.
Chipped wide of the net. Now getting onto this one was McFeeters,
Yeah.
and now we'll get a whistle.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't like that.
And that was held by Spurace, so that's what the whistle was for.
Yeah. I think he was looking to see. I mean, in that situation, I think he was looking maybe there might have been a sort of a hit from behind, but referee said nope. Play on.
Tolan to the middle there. That one sticked away. And here comes RFA out of the zone. Missing that one was Mason Stutton, so Bees have to play it back in their own end. Making a move now is McFeeters, and he'll look up the ice. Has Tolan going deep, and Beeville lucky they didn't pick up a slash there. It's behind the play. A couple players got tied together, and the Bees went for the slash play. Good hit there, and again, the physicality for RFA being the big factor. That was Carson Pettinelli, and now we get a whistle for offside. But man, Pettinelli stepped up, and he enforced his will on the B player coming at him.
Did enforce his will, did get the turnover. Unfortunately, they get called for the offside on it, but one of those plays that you like there to see from that young man, using his physicality to be able to take the puck away and change direction.
It's one of those games that certainly feels like one more goal for RFA would put this one out of reach. Baldwinsville seemingly hanging on here, down by 3. 2:44 left in the second period. Here's Hinman, and Hinman just couldn't get that one fully together. It's chipped up, barely held in by Crowley, who fires it down low. And coming down to this one now is Weaver. Weaver centering pass! Oh, nobody was there. If Hinman was there, but he couldn't get the shot off, and nobody was behind him is what I meant to say. This gets dumped down in. And now played by Crowley. Had to bounce that one off the net to keep it in play. Looking forward, and now here is Weaver. Oh, what a save by Spurace.
You got to call a penalty?
Yeah, we got a penalty coming here to RFA. I didn't see what it's going to be for, and now we get the whistle. Brooks, Brooks there with a mad dash to get down the ice.
Yeah, you really got to love the sort of response by these Bees in the second period. Got to give them credit. Just really within the last 5, I was just saying 3 minutes, maybe even more now at this point. This has been a really sort of a one-sided affair by the Bees to really sort of get a lot of offensive pressure on the goalies.
And so eventually it'll be Landon Sully that goes to the box for a hook.
But how about the kill by the Black Knights, right? How about the penalty kill? This is going to be the third opportunity to show off that special teams here in this game.
Power play for Baldwinsville, their third of the day, 0 for 2, both of them coming in the second period. Played down low, up to the point, Crowley looking to cut into this lead. It's sent on over, Dorito! Oh, that one just glanced high. Down low, McFeeters. Looking down the Weaver. Weaver back up to McFeeters. McFeeters put that one wide. It bounces out. Wow. Oh, what a save by Spurace. He knocks the net off in the process, but it wouldn't have mattered. He got over to that puck and knocked it away.
Yeah, you can see the frustration by the Bees. Like, what do we got to do to be able to score on this young man? It is unbelievable the way that he was able to fly over and protect that net. It was almost an open shot, and all of a sudden, you just saw him spread all the way across. What an effort by the goaltender.
And if you're Beeville, you got to be thinking, well, what are we supposed to do against this guy? They can't get anything by him.
Yeah, and really almost the second game, Killian. We saw the same thing against CNS, right? The Bees very frustrated. They're just not able to get – they had 40-something shots on that net at that game on Monday versus CNS, and were unable to get much scoring. So I think it's some frustrating definitely coming from this Bees team.
Coming up the ice is Crowley. Crowley turning, firing wide. At the point now – is Weaver. Weaver shoots it in at one. I don't think that got on net. Look like it deflected wide. Crowley with Weaver. Over to Weaver. Looks back. Thought about going to Crowley. Doesn't have the option open. Now he'll just send it on to Flex. Doesn't go on net. 49 seconds remaining in the penalty kill. There'll be about a second or half a second left. Carrying over to the third period. It goes down the ice. No icing. And RFA will make some changes. 35 seconds left in the first period. Looking up the ice now are the Bees. Coming forward. Crowley turns around. Nothing there. Crowley down low. Shooting off the crossbar.
Yeah, deflection. What a great save.
Up to the point. Weaver, 18 seconds left to go now. RFA barely hanging on in this power play. Crowley sends one to the middle. And Hinman had a wide open net, but he couldn't get a stick on it. Now the shot. That's a good block there from the Black Knights. Down goes Meeks. And moving on forward, that is the end of the second period, and the goalie gets taken out at the very end.
Ooh. Well, with 3 seconds left, you knew he was going to come down to take a shot. He comes out of the net to really stop that play from happening. He leaves the post to come out. And he just sort of put his skate under and made him sort of twist his body in a way that obviously has caused the injury for the young man.
Yeah, both players down.
Yep, it was a collision, but
so that'll be the end of the second here. We will head to our intermission right now as they sort out this injury. Baldwinsville leading 3-0 at the end of 2. We will be back in about 15 minutes here. everybody. So we're going to come back here for a brief second. So Brooks was able to get up under his own power, able to skate off. And regarding to a penalty situation, the RFA coach was speaking to the official, and at the end when the officials were skating away, he kind of indicated it was 5 fingers. So we don't have an official confirmation, but right now the suspicion until there is an actual announcement made in the rink, because the PA announcer hasn't stated anything yet. Currently, what I believe is going on is there's a 5-minute major call on that play, but we will see when we start the third period, or if the announcement is made over the PA system. With that here, we will actually head to our intermission. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back here in about 11 minutes here to start the third period. We welcome you back here on KSM Productions for the third period of action. This game currently sitting at 3-0 RFA through 2. No goals were scored in that second period. Once again, I'm Killian Heffron here, joined alongside by Brian Heffron for the third period of action. And Brian, this Baldwinsville team today, they've just been, and it seems like, out-muscled quite a bit by this RFA squad. RFA, very physical.
Yeah, very physical team. We saw that sort of happen in the second period, right? First period, there was really no penalties called, not a lot of physicality happening on both sides. Rome came out clearly with sort of the mission to keep that 3-goal lead and just physically sort of frustrate the Bees. They have confidence in their goaltending, and I think that was sort of the aim there. Now, from the Bees' perspective, got to give props for the Bees. They made a quick change, right? So they brought in new goaltending here to start off the second period, and that quickly sort of turned, and I think it kind of created a spark there for the Bees. They had some great scoring opportunities based on the fact that they had their special teams out there for 3 different times through that second period. But look at their frustration over not being able to find the net. It's got to be pretty high.
Well, here's a look at the Baldwinsville roster. As you can see, in goal is still going to be Chase Brooks for the Bees. Took a big collision there at the end, and I think they're still sorting out what the penalty situation is going to be for that. So
yeah. Brooks eventually was able to get off on his own power. You could see some frustration with him because of that injury that happened at the beginning of the year. Was that the first game, I believe it was, where he got injured? Was that the Fusion game it might have been? But he got an injury, and that sort of almost a similar situation too, wasn't it? Where he was sort of clipped, by the offensive players sort of coming around. So a scary situation there, but it looks like he's all right. Sort of talking to his players right now, and looks like it should be a good period of hockey coming up here for the third period.
So now we will see what the penalty is going to be. So it's going to be a 5-minute major to start the third period for Baldwinsville. Mark Verano into the box.
Well, big opportunity for the Bees here. They need this. You can't let this RFA team kill off a 5-minute penalty.
Third period underway, 5-minute major. And so 5-minute major for charging is what the officials are going to end up giving as a result of that collision to end the second period. So Beeville, a big opportunity here to start this third period off right and begin to chip away at that lead. They had plenty of chances, but Dante Sprace, a brick wall in net as it's put at the point by Weaver. Weaver hands it along down. Crowley along over. Hinman hit the crossbar again. That's his second time doing that today.
Yep. Good awareness by the goaltender to sort of be able to there. He knew he could sort of see him and sort of making his way over for a wing to take that one-timer shot. But he's sort of leaning against that post saying, thank you so much.
Baldwinsville kicking the boards, trying to get their team some momentum. It comes up to the point here to Crowley. Along over to Hinman, back to Crowley. Crowley back to Hinman, or excuse me, this is Weaver with it. Weaver lost the puck. Crowley picks it up, barely stays in the zone. That down in, and that one deflected on that save made there by Sprace.
Yeah, good deflection there by the Bees, but just did not sort of find its way into any opening. Goaltender there tracking it the entire time.
Hinman in the offensive zone, chips it along by. It's picked up by Mendiola. Up at the point, held in at the point by Crowley over to Weaver. Weaver looking. Weaver puts one on net, and it might have caught Toland on the way in.
Yeah, good patience there to find some opening.
Shots on goal 29-19, or excuse me, 30-19 now in favor of Beeville as that one goes on net, held by Sprace. And Sprace done quite a lot of that today.
Yep. Hey, he's having a good game. I mean, it's a solid game. I mean, it's not like they're getting no shots on him. They've had some opportunities. But as this game goes on, he continues to build confidence that he already has. I mean, you get an 8th grader to start off goaling a few years ago and dominate the way that he has in Section 3. I don't think confidence is something that you lack.
On the draw now, that's one. Coming around to the side, this gets sent down the ice. Ooh, does not get sent down the ice. Instead, RFA, a bit of friendly fire. 3-0 Black Knights, although they are getting outshot pretty significantly. Face off one up to the point, sent along over. Here is Breen. Breen back along over to Pertel. Shot got blocked, and here comes Jacob Bruno. Oh man, Bruno got held up there at the last second. That's good play by Beeville on defense. Bruno looked for the front of the net, couldn't find that one. It comes back the other direction, and here comes Beeville. Dumped down in. They kick the boards in appreciation of the effort. It goes back down again. Baldwinsville 0 for 3 on the power play today, hoping to not go 0 4, especially on a 5-minute major. They still got over half of it left, but time certainly beginning to tick.
Well, the Bees work well in their power play when they're able to sort of get it past the line and create sort of chances by setting this thing up. But some aggressive moves by RFA right now to prevent that from happening.
Down low, good check there by the Black Knights. Number 4, Braden Meeks getting in there. Meeks part of that top line, who can't get up to full power right now since in the box is Verano and they're killing off the penalty. But nevertheless, been a successful line today as out of the zone comes Meeks. He will change and RFA sends it down the ice again. And Beeville can't get it into the offensive zone. And that one was picked up down low by Jack Carpenter. Or excuse me, it was not Jack Carpenter, it was Brock LaPlante. Looking up the ice, so that's picked off by LaPlante, but he couldn't get that one to the middle of the ice. It's picked off now by the Bees. Moving up the ice is Dorito. Dorito to the side. Dorito has no options yet. Now his options start to come in with him.
Yeah, good job by RFA to cover those attackers as they move down the ice towards a goal.
Weaver, oh man, he barely held that one in. RFA fans voicing their displeasure. From the side, comes up to the middle, sent along over, shot there, and a save made. And now a penalty upcoming against Baldwinsville. And now,
it looks like they're going to call him for, well, you saw him, he sort of crashed into the RFA goaltender, the Bees did. So much traffic in front of him to figure out what happened.
Oh, no, this is going to be against RFA. I thought this was going to be against Baldwinsville.
I did too, but maybe I didn't see it, but it looked like he might have cross-checked him into the goaltender, and that's why he ended up underneath him.
So, a 1 minute, 17-second 5-on-3. And Baldwinsville, the momentum here seemingly shifting into their favor. Long 2-man advantage. They can get this lead back in check right now. But what can they do? Weaver walks in. RFA credit on the goal. Oh man, the shot from Weaver. He hit the post.
Yeah, off the
and a diving effort to get it out of the zone.
Yeah, great effort by RFA there. But the shot hit the goaltender on the mask and then bounced off against the bar. How many times has that shot sort of been hitting that bar today for the Bees? Ooh.
And that one does not work. And here comes Bruno to the middle, and he can't get anything going there. Kind of just lost all momentum.
Well, we talked about how important it was there. If the RFA were to kill up this penalty, that momentum to do a 5-minute would be pretty special for the Black Knights.
Hinman shoots one, blocked. 20 seconds left on the 5-on-3. Looking around. Does not find Hinman, instead finds up at the point. Shot comes in, deflects. Why the sliding block there from Landon Bartlett. Up to the point, Weaver! Bartlett got to it again! Bartlett giving up the body constantly on the shift, and that one's also blocked!
And a team effort here by RFA. They're just blocking.
And now comes out of the zone! And Verano's right there. Verano makes the pass over, it got blocked. Oh man, talk about giving up the body.
Yeah.
And an absolute momentum killer for Baldwinsville. RFA 27 seconds away from being 5 for 5 on the penalty kill today. And Baldwinsville now 18 seconds from being 0-5 on the power play. It's fanned on and chipped in by Meeks and now iced by Beeville. Oh, wow.
Wow.
What a penalty kill. Now we get more whistles.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was for, but
11 seconds away. 11 seconds away this Black Knight team is from killing off Killian. 14 minutes of power play by this Bees team. That's a statement right there, right? Forget the goals. I mean, the 3 goals in the first period, but just the defensive ability for them to shut down the Bees.
5 seconds left on the power play. It is over, and it might be an icing against the Bees. No, it will not. They'll cancel out at the last moment. And Baldwinsville now 0 for 5 on power play today. RFA, what an effort.
Good check by RFA there.
You had all the blocks down low. You had preventing Baldwinsville from getting in the offensive zone at the beginning. Great all-around effort, and now the Black Knights look to finish the job.
Yep.
They still lead by 3, 10:55 to go. Fired down in on the Sprace, who easily will pat that one aside. No issues there. And coming up the ice now are the Black Knights. That pass just inaccurate icing.
So you wonder from the sort of the mental status of these Bees players here, the frustration of not being able to get a goal after having some great scoring opportunities, especially in the second period, to have that advantage happen, a 2-man advantage even at one point. It really does send sort of a hard sort of depth. They really got to reach deep here to come out of this. Keep on chipping away at this net.
That one got blocked on the way in. Getting on over, and there's a good check by Mendiola. Fired forward, and a hit prevents that one. It bounces out. Save made by Sprace. McCollum had a chance at that one, just couldn't get that going. And here comes Mark Verano. Verano versus Crowley. Verano cuts back, and Crowley makes him pay. That comes into the point shot, deflected down. Oh man, Baldwinsville nearly put that one into their own net off the deflection at the point from McCollum, who went up to try and block it. And now the shot comes in from Mendiola, deflects wide. Crowley behind his own net. 10 minutes remaining in the third. And now offside, so having to check up are the Black Knights. That top line will come off. And down the ice, this one goes. Mendiola has McGrain coming after him. Mendiola, good turnaround, looks up the ice now. Brought forward, and a little check did not work. It's sent down. 35 shots on goal for Baldwinsville. They've been out shooting RFA now by 16, yet they trail this game by 3. It's a testament to Dante Sprace, who has played a great game in goal. Moving on forward, shot there from the side. Sprace gloves that one down.
Yeah, tracking that.
And Brian, when we spoke to Coach Lloyd before this game, one of the things he said is that Sprace has had their number since he became the starter in 8th grade.
Well, I mean, he's had everybody's number, Killian. I mean, outside of, once again, you look at the West Jenny, and they found a way to sort of be able to beat them, especially in those 2 finals, but just every team has been shut down.
Chipped out of the zone in pursuit of this one now for RFA is Aiden Van Wy. Van Wy will get there. He turns, looks up to the half boards, and that one's just picked off by Beeville. They'll look to get it out of the zone. Sent down the ice. Coming on to this one is McGrain, who couldn't really get to that. Sent back forward the other direction. Intercepted now and barely held in at the point by Dorito. Down low, it's Weaver. Weaver looking around. Still looking around. Now he'll shoot. Stick to side by Sprace. Goes into the corner. Now nearing double the shots on goal for Baldwinsville. Held in the offensive zone by the Bees. Here is McGrain. Centered it, and that one is sticked away by Sprace. I'll go down to shot number 38, and shot number 39 is another save by Sprace. Over double the shots on goal now for Baldwinsville.
I would not be surprised if we hit the 50 mark here in this game, just the way that it's happening, right? I mean, they're anchoring in RFA right now, just relying, I think, maybe too much on their goalie. You wonder where the offensive power is. It can happen at any moment, but it's been pretty dominant here. Granted, a lot of that time was on penalty, but B's just not letting down.
There's another shot. That one's held. That's number 40.
So we're close now, Killing, probably past 80 shots in 2 games with only, 2 scores?
Yeah, it's getting to that point. I don't remember off the top of my head what the exact shot total was in that last game against CNS.
Yeah, I was going to say it's plus 40, so getting close to 80 shots here, which is 2 goals to show from it.
Well, at the next stoppage, I will try to get us that information. Here comes RFA down the ice. Bruno, what a move! Oh man, he almost got hit with the hip check, but was able to stay on his feet, ends up losing his stick. It bounces around down low. Someone is missing a glove. It was Crowley. And now it's battle for in front. Oh, man, RFA nearly getting that one, and then an extra shot. That'll be shot, I believe, number 20 here for RFA in this game.
Yeah. 20, probably 40. I want to say probably 80 plus shots. That's something. I think that's one of the things we got to talk to coach about too, is how does that frustration play over with this team right now? Because we know they have scores. They found the net, especially in the early part of this season, but they're just sort of going through a spell here.
This one gets sent around down low, fired around, and played there by Beeville. Looking to get onto this one, chipped up and out of the zone, swept forward by Hinman. And Hinman tries to get down onto this one, and he will lay a hit there on Mendiola, who reverses it and brings it up the other way. Now moving up the ice is Townsend, and Townsend takes a hit there from McGrain. Looking up the ice was Hinman. Oh, he barely stayed onside there. RFA bench doesn't agree with that one, and it comes out the other way. Here come the Black Knights. Moving on forward. It is Stephen Mudry. Sending it around down low, and back onto this one is Mason Stutton. And that one's getting away. Oh, what a hit there. And once again, the physicality. That's Carson Pettinelli.
It is. And you get it from so many different players on this Rome team.
Pettinelli's been one of their bigger hitters today, but certainly, like you said, they're far from the only one. That gets sent down the ice, and it's just an accurate pass. And now RFA going to get an offensive zone faceoff. Still trailing by 3 is Beeville. Black Knights looking to keep them off the scoreboard. RFA kicking the boards. They can feel that this one is just about within their grasp. It comes up to the point. Sent along. Here's Sully's shot. Oh, man, good save there. Penalty upcoming to Beeville. And RFA gets their first power play of the game. It's a critical time to take a penalty. The high official's going to catch him for it.
Yeah.
And we'll see who goes to the box. I think it's going to be Spino. Yeah, it is. So it's going to be Max Spino here that's going to go. And now RFA's first power play of this game couldn't come at a worse time here if you are the Beeville Bees, but if you're RFA, this is the opportunity to close this one out.
Yeah, I think this is going to be sort of one of those situations, right, where they're looking for the opportunity. We'll see how this is the first time we've seen that power play in action all game.
Oh, but here comes McGrain. McGrain with speed, he's pulled down, and so much for a power play. It'll be a lengthy 4-on-4.
Well, McGrain starts chugging those legs, and you know, right, that speed's building up, and I think the same thing as they saw that. I think Rome bench is asking, hey, was that really going to be a penalty? Just trying to get a physical play to move around, but ends up knocking him down in the process, and that's what happens when you have that speed and you start beating the defender like that.
Landon Sully to the box. Shots 39-21, 1 minute 48 of 4-on-4. 6:04 left in regulation time. Certainly not out of it yet are the Bees, but as time ticks on, it continues to feel that way. Looking up, Verano moves forward, looked for Meeks. It was just off his stick, so Meeks will come in with Crowley, and he puts Crowley there into the wall. Comes up, oh, a shot for Verano, he scores! Mark Verano goes into the student section, and it is 4-0 RFA.
Yeah, well, it bounced right back to him. Great shot on the net. Verano, second goal of the game. Great job by Verano on that play. Once again, easy, quick response.
And that's what all that space on the ice will do.
Yep.
Verano able to get in uncontested.
Yep. And once again, I mean, it's going to be a hard shot to defend by any goaltender in that situation, but.
And the body language for Beeville on the ice here is not. There's nobody in to take this face off. Now there is. RFA going with the no center strategy there for a second. Here comes Meeks into the offensive end. Meeks takes a hit and still on the puck. Meeks brought that to the middle, save made by Brooks. And that one's chipped down low. Onto that one is Verano looking for the hat trick. And he couldn't pull that one in on net. Was looking in the middle for Meeks. Sent up, here's McGrain. McGrain has a man with him. McGrain will just carry this one in. Onside. McGrain grabs again. That's going to be the third holding penalty McGrain has drawn tonight.
Yeah, well, he's drawn him with his feet. So he's using his feet to get around, and then he kind of cuts the corner, creating an edge there, and he just sort of gets caught up with the defender.
And that's a big loss. That's Jacob Bruno.
Yep.
That's going to go to the box. The leading point scorer in Section 3 is now off the ice.
Yeah, and I think
it's a 4-on-3.
Well, from the RFA side, they're saying, look, we're just trying to slow him down here. And you know what I mean? His speed allows it to make it look like it might be a penalty, but they're questioning whether that's the case.
And we're going to timeout here called by Baldwinsville. So Beeville a 4-on-3 for 53 seconds. Once that expires, it will be a 5-on-3 for about 8 seconds, and then there will be 55 seconds of normal 5-on-4. So Bruno, one of the biggest producers this year for RFA. They certainly aren't lacking in big producers, but he's been the biggest. He's off the ice.
Yeah, he is, and I think this is, once again, we talk about opportunities for Baldwinsville to work on some of the things in a game like this when you know that in terms of winning the game might be out of reach. What are some other elements you can work on? Well, one of them is the penalty here. I think mentally, though, Killian, they need to break this sort of drought, right? The frustration that they have of being able to shoot so much over 2 games and not get really much of an output from it. I think they're trying to say, hey, can we crack this code? It's something that the coach talked about, right? And when we talked about Lloyd mentioning specifically this goalie saying, we got to figure out a way to beat him, right? We got to figure out a way to get through him.
So here's a look at the Baldwinsville upcoming schedule for the rest of the season. Tonight, their game against RFA. They currently trail 4-0 here in the third period. Next up is Saturday when they take on Fairport. Then Monday, they go on the road against Auburn.
Yeah.
And after that, 29th on the road to Mohawk Valley. Then 31st on the road to New Hartford. Final home game of the year and final regular season broadcast on KSN will be February 3rd against the Syracuse Cougars. That one could decide who hosts a sectional semifinal.
Well, okay, this is a big opportunity for the Baldwinsville coming up in this section of games. Most of their games have been home. It was a heavily sort of home-favored schedule at the beginning of the year, and now they got to go on the road for many of those games to finish off this season.
Back up to the point. Here's Weaver. Weaver shoots, saves Sparace. It's knocked down by RFA. They look to clear. Weaver behind the net, looked to the middle, didn't have anybody there.
How many times have you seen that puck just bounce up after a block?
Hinman's shot got blocked. Getting in the way of that one was Stephen Mudry. Crowley deflects out of play. And now 4:38 to go. It's 4-0. RFA looking to improve to 13-1. And Baldwinsville looking to avoid for the first time this year losing multiple games in a row. McGrain shoots one, save made there by Sparace.
It's his ability, his quickness. You watch the goaltender here. It's just his ability. His reaction is so quick, right? It's almost before that puck even leaves the offensive stick. He's already crouched down in the position. He knows where to go.
It's battled for along the wall. Chipped down the ice. And that will do it for the 4-on-3. And now it is a 5-on-3 for Beeville. Spino out of the box. And here come the Bees. Hinman shoots one, saves Sparace. Make that number 42 on the day for him. Out shooting RFA by 20. Five on 3 comes to an end. It's back to a normal power play, but it's sent down the ice. In pursuit of this is Mark Verano. Verano, 2 goals on the day, looking for a third.
Absolutely.
And now Beeville back in their own end. Nobody was on it. Here's Crowley. Time ticking off the clock. The Bees look up the ice, trying to continue this one. This gets sent down in. Baldwinsville right now on pace to be 0 for 7 on the power play today. Not if Crowley has anything to say about it, as the Ice Monster claims him. Tolan in the battle first. It's knocked forward. Here's Meeks. And Meeks goes down. Few RFA players wanted the call. They don't get one. This comes forward, and now making a move on that was Crowley, who's taken down by the Ice Monster again, and then a second time. And that will do it for the power play. Baldwinsville now 0 for 7 on the day.
Over 18 minutes, they have killed off penalties for this game. It's one of the storylines.
And there's going to be another penalty. Just when you thought they were done, they pick up another. And the RFA coaching staff all on the bench pretty much with the same look of, are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, I think right now the over-under of this team hitting 50 shots is very possible when we have 3 minutes left here in the period. But
now Baldwinsville just unable to get by Sprace, but if they were able to get by him a couple times to this point, this would be a very interesting power play. But now, under 3 minutes to go, it seems like this one's going to be more for stat padding. Firing that one down the ice, and so now Bruno in pursuit of that with Weaver. It gets chipped up the ice. Here come the Bees. Dorito popped it up. Doesn't have anywhere to go with it. Dorito looking, still with the puck, up to Weaver at the point, along over. Here's the shot there from Pertel, save made by Sprace. A sprawling out Dante Sprace there was looking for a potential rebound. That one got blocked, goes wide. Now they try to jam at this one, they don't get anything. And it goes down the ice, no icing. 1:18 left to go, and the 8th Baldwinsville power play on the day. And for RFA, there is 2:04 left on the clock. And that's an icing against the Bees.
RFA clearly looking here. I mean, the motivation to get another shutout for their goaltender, who deserves it by far, the performance that he did today, I think is going to keep that RFA focus here within his last 2 minutes. They don't want to give up a goal with the amount of kill that they've had here all game long.
Beeville played most of this third period 5-on-4 and still hasn't been able to get anything by Sprace. I mean, he's been incredible today.
And multiple 5-on-3s coming, right? I mean,
that one goes out of play. Second one was albeit brief, all of 8 seconds, but still goes down as number 5-on-3. That one deflects out of play.
Yep.
First one was for about minute 18 as a major to start the period to Verano. Merged with the other penalty they picked up. That one goes down the ice. It's a missed pass. And looking up the ice is Crowley. Has a man. This comes back. Turning around is Hinman. Hinman looks up the ice. That's caught. Sent to the middle. And here is Bruno, who just fires this one down in, looking to kill off more clock.
Yeah, it just looks like it was a set design play, but they just could not get that going and get the people in the right place for it.
First period for Baldwinsville throughout this game, Brian, was kind of just the thing that kind of took them out of this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, going down 3 goals early like that, that's deflating, especially when a team you just cannot be giving up goals in that situation.
1 minute remaining, 5 seconds left on the power play, and you can make it official. RFA a perfect 8 for 8 on the penalty kill.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, Killian.
Not impressive that they've been taking that amount of penalties, but their penalty kill
Yep.
is the impressive part of that. Although I'm sure their coach will be telling them we can't be taking that many penalties after this game. Here comes Hinman. Hinman looking for something. He got clipped, and he went down hard. And he gets back up, and here comes RFA. It's going to be a 2-on-2. Here's Mendiola. Forgot how to pronounce his name there for a second. This comes up the ice. And it's sent forward, or tipped along by Hinman getting on this one. Hinman, it's a 2-on-1. Hinman, oh, he hit the side of the net. What a disaster that would have been for RFA. They lost the shutout in the last 10 seconds.
Absolutely.
5 seconds left. Dante Sprace, a 43-save shutout.
Yeah.
And that is the end.
What a performance by this Black Knight team, we knew coming in just how strong they were behind with their offensive zone. But look at goaltending, we know makes the difference in a game like this. So when you have strong goaltending from a veteran, this team really is something to behold. So good effort by Baldwinsville, though. You have to give them credit for going down 3 goals early to come back and be able to play in the second period, hang in there, be able to fight, take advantage of at least. I mean, you look at the amount of shots that they had on net. That was an impressive sort of feat by them, but still just unable to sort of really kind of create that goal. And I think that's going to be the frustration part from this Bees players moving forward.
And so with this victory today, RFA will move into first place in Section 3 Division 1. They had less games played in division for most of the season so far, finally starting to catch up to the rest of those teams in terms of games played.
Yep.
And their win over Syracuse in their last game gives them the head-to-head advantage, which will give them the #1 overall seed here as we continue throughout this season.
Well, we talked about, Killian, we talked about the importance of what we expected to be a battle for that second place, and I think that's what this comes down to now, right? We know that Rome is most likely going to continue to cruise for the remainder of this season, so the battle of who can avoid Rome in the playoff push is going to be an important strategic thing heading forward, and I think that's going to be the focus really for all teams moving forward. Syracuse, West Jenny, Baldwinsville, all these teams that are sort of really kind of putting themselves in position to sort of try to take over and claim that second place standing.
And so with that, this game ends a final score, RFA 4, Baldwinsville 0. Here players will get together at the end of this one. And with that here, we will say farewell from Three Rivers Athletic Complex. Next broadcast will be on Saturday as Baldwinsville takes on Fairport. RFA takes down the Beast 4-0 to move in the first place in Section 3 Division 1. We will see you all next time. I'm Killian Heffron, and my color commentator, camera operator is Brian Heffron. We will see you all next time. Farewell.